Istanbul, the jewel of 4 different empires. Centuries of power and politics have shaped a distinct identity, evident in the people and their food. Today, a new generation of Turks is shaking things up. The youth are tapping into their creativity to give their cultural heritage a modern form. Food, a mirror of society. It brings us together, traces our divergent histories, and opens new futures. I'm on a journey to meet food lovers around the world and get the inside track on their cities through the food they love. Istanbul may be one of the oldest continually inhabited cities around, but its face is young. 14 million people live in this buzzing city. Half of them are under the age of 30. Food is a major source of employment. It powers 25% of the workforce, helping many build careers on Turkey's rich culinary tradition.
Gerald?
Hello!
Hello!
Rafika Birgül is a chef and social media foodie. With several cookbooks and a weekly cooking show under her belt, Rafika has made a name for herself through her deep knowledge of Turkish food and its history.
Why are we at this restaurant, Rafika?
This restaurant is the pioneer of bringing the Anatolian food to Istanbul.
Okay.
If we consider about the Turkish cuisine, we can divide it into 3 things. One is the palace food, the Ottoman palace food. The other one is mixed Istanbul food with Armenians, Turkish Greeks, and etc. And the other one is Anatolia. And
What is this?
it's very hot. It's just fresh for you.
All right. Okay.
You tell me what this is.
I think it looks like stuffed grape leaves. Rolls
Yes,
of
it is. This is dried aubergine and dried pepper. It's all different traditions. And in the Ottoman time, it meant, again, Armenians, Greeks, Orthodox, and also Jewish people coming from Spain. All these cultures are now on top of each other.
So tell me, is there any region that is known for certain things, like seafood coming from somewhere, and vegetables, meat? How does it work?
Black Sea region is famous for its hamsi, the small fish, and then at the middle, it's more on wheat. 2 types of wheat are, one is 12,000 years old, coming from Kastamonu, Black Sea region. The other wheat is coming from Kars, in that region, 6,000, 7,000 years old. And the wheat still is the same wheat, so it's amazing.
I've always wondered, you've got all these different regions. Is there a great uniter?
We have simit. Simit is a bread which is actually born in the Süleyman the Magnificent time, where a pasha made it inside the palace. Then what happened is people liked it so much, then first the palace, then in Istanbul, then in all Anatolia, it started to spread.
Despite that huge meal, I'm making room to try simit. And after a taste, I want to learn how it's made.
Ben 28 yaşındayım. 14 senedir fırıncılık yapıyorum. 14 senedir simit imalatından ve çekirdekten yetiştim. Bu bize dededen mesleğimiz. Yani ben 3. kuşak oluyorum. Dede, babam ve ben. Sabah 5'te de bir simide başlıyoruz. Simidin yoğrulması, çekilmesi ve burada susamlanması ve pişirilmesi şeklinde. Bizim işletmemizin özelliği kara fırın odun ateşi olması. Kara fırın özelliğinin doğal gaz, mazot ya da yapay katkısız bir şey olması. Odunun kendi ateşi, kendi özü, kendi közüyle simidin pişmesidir. Simit en güzel, lezzetli bir şekilde simit fırından çıktıktan 10 dakika sonra yenir. Çünkü niye? Hem hamur özelliğini çeker, sıcak sıcak yenmez, yani mideye oturur. Hamur dinlenmiş olur, özünü almış olur, hafif çıtırlığını kazanır. Sıcak simit o zaman yenir.
Simit is so integral to the Turkish diet that it's used as a measure for the cost of living. The ubiquity and popularity of foods such as simit and baklava have turned them into something of a national dish and symbol of Turkish pride. Istanbul is where Asia and Europe embrace, the world's only city straddling two continents. The reign of the Ottomans heralded a new chapter for Turkish society and its food. And the imperial kitchen was where it all began. The start of a cuisine that would influence and instruct a nation for centuries. Topkapi Palace, the fulcrum of Ottoman power and prosperity.
This is where the magic happens. The palace kitchen. It housed up to 1,300 members of staff, the cooks, their assistants. Helps to explain why you've got all these giant pots. There was such fierce competition, not just to get in, but to get ahead. So these cooks were bringing recipes from their own villages, their own regions, but then they're also inventing new ones, and then perfecting them, and then trying to one-up each other.
Styled on the military, the cooks were organized into corps and companies, each with different specialities. Meanwhile, outside castle walls, people were absorbing palace cuisine into their own cooking styles, creating new customs that continue to evolve. Just like the institution of weekend breakfast. Meet Karhan and Lisa Karakayun. This young couple has transformed their passion for cuisine and culture into a successful enterprise. They run food tours for visitors to Istanbul and are going to explain the traditional Turkish breakfast to me.
Anne iki tane çok açık çabuk.
This is a lot of food. Would people have this for breakfast every day?
Well, more than every day. This is on a Sunday morning, just like we are doing it now. Breakfast is kahvaltı, and that actually two words coming together. Kahvaltı means under the coffee. So people were just quickly, during the Ottoman period, people were quickly having something to eat so that they could start drinking their coffee. That's why it was called kahvaltı, under the coffee. That name was given during the Ottoman Empire, and at that time the coffee was quite popular because there was an easy access to the coffee fields, like it was in Arabia, it was in Africa, but after the First World War, Second World War, the trade was cut and it was expensive and it was not a local product anymore. So that's why we started drinking tea. Tea is a must on a breakfast. For a lot of Turkish people, we can just take any of these foods away from the table and still call it a breakfast, but if this tea is not on the table, it's not going to be called breakfast anymore.
Fabulous to meet you.
Enjoy Istanbul.
I will. Thank you, Korhan.
Enjoy your stay.
It was great. Thank you so much.
You can't understand Turkish cuisine without knowing something about their spices. The Ottomans controlled the only spice route of the 15th century and set rigorous standards to ensure quality. Today, experts in spices such as Kadir Kasikci continue to hand down their wisdom to the younger generations. So what are some of the spices that you sell here?
Dükkanda en çok satılan baharat pul biber. Çünkü pul biberin yağlısı var, yağsızı var, tatlısı var, orta acılısı var. Ama insanlar daha çok buraya dertlerine deva, hastalıklarına şifa olsun diye karışımlar yaptırmaya geliyor. Yani macun diyorum. Balın içine çeşitli baharatlar katarak bugün de birkaç sefer yeniyor. Bağışıklık sistemi için, ne bileyim çeşitli dertler için kullanılabiliyor.
Whenever I think of Turkish cuisine, I think of sumac.
Türkiye'de yetişen tek çeşit sumak var. Tane şeklinde bu. Dolmalara konur özellikle. Ayrıca bazı yemeklerin içine.
Now, usually when I think of sumac, I think of it as a powder. It's ground.
Tozu da şu.
Of course, right here.
Hatta test edebilirsiniz. Yiyebilirsiniz. Eat.
Eat, okay. Almost like a flower. Sour, very lemony, very, very fragrant. What dishes do you cook with sumac?
Salatalara ve kebaplarda kuru soğanın üzerine. Ayrıca kuru soğan salatası da gibi bir şey de yapılıp o şekilde de yenebilir.
Who are some of your customers?
Bütün herkes, bütün aileler kullanır bunu. Yani bütün Türkiye aileleri kullanır. Ama restoranlar daha çok alır.
Wonderful shot. Thank you. Bye-bye. After my visit to the palace and spice shop, I want to learn a bit more about Ottoman cuisine. Yavuz Izgul, a familiar face in Turkish households, is a TV chef and food entrepreneur. We're meeting at a courtyard restaurant in the complex of Istanbul's largest mosque, Süleymaniye. Hello.
Welcome. How do you do?
Very well, very well.
This is a traditional Turkish kiss, you know. We kiss on two cheeks.
It's very good to meet you.
Have a seat, please.
Thank you.
Most important thing about the Ottoman Empire is that it was an empire of nations. They let them to preserve their cultures. They let them to go on with their own craftsmanship, their own cooking and all kinds of business or stuff that they do. The Jews kept what they were doing. The Armenians kept, the Romans kept what they were doing. So this brought up the Ottoman Empire with a colorful and rich cuisine. This one, called the Sultan's Delight internationally, but its Turkish name is Hünkar Beğendi.
It looks quite heavy to me. Was Ottoman cuisine healthy?
We know that the Ottoman sultans and the Ottoman residents were quite strong and built up. They were highly fed on proteins. You know, they used oil, they used lamb fat, and they lived long. They lived very long. The average Ottoman man's life was like 70 or 60 years old, which was compared to those times quite a long time, right?
The Ottoman Empire was one of the very first sort of governments, so to speak, to actually pass laws on the freshness of food.
Quite important in the Ottoman cuisine was that it was seasonal, because it's full of meat and full of protein. And before the 18th century, I should say, there were no tomato or potato in the Ottoman cuisine. What was coming to your plate belonged to that season. That's important. And still, in the Turkish, traditional Turkish cuisine, the same thing goes on. It's an important thing.
From the palace to the people, the Ottoman legacy lives on, inspiring a new generation of chefs like Yavuz as they capture and re-envision Turkish cooking. Istanbul is often visited for its past, yet it's also very much a modern metropolis. The urban population is swelling, work patterns are changing, and as a result, demand for street food is rising. Highly skilled masters or ustas serve up popular dishes such as stuffed mussels.
No money.
No money.
Ikram, Turkish gentleman.
There's doner, a meal on the go which traces its roots to the early farmers who ate meats cooked over campfires. A popular local brew is pickle juice, the tart brine used to cure vegetables. It's not a milkshake, I'll tell you that. It's regarded as a health drink, which detoxes and aids digestion. Okay. Yes, thank you. And to sweeten the palate, dondurma, Turkish ice cream. Its elastic consistency comes from salep, a flour made from the tubers of wild orchids, so endangered that Turkey forbids its export.
Thank you.
Food and drink in Turkey is a $140 billion industry. And young entrepreneurs are showing they can still offer something different. Turkish friends have recommended I try a new delivery service that's making waves. Murat and Bülent Demirhan are co-owners of a successful startup that marries tradition and convenience.
Our objective is to provide delicious Turkish food. This is, Turkish meatball with some vegetables here.
Kofta?
Köfte, yes. This is our signature, one of signature dishes. Sarma or dolma.
We were struggling to find this kind of food. Basically, this food is the main food which is eaten in the houses. Our mothers cook this food, and we eat, as Turkish people, this food since our childhood. Some of the food it takes hours to cook. And also you can't cook it for one plate, usually.
It has to be a big portion, yeah?
What happens is the local restaurants cook it in pans, and they try to sell it out through the noon time. And when they finish with it, they close the restaurant and they go away.
Right, so you're professionals and hungry at 5 p.m. Trying to figure out how you can get some of your mama's cooking.
No, there are lots of issues around it. You need to pack it, but it shouldn't leak. And it's not only the taste. It's not only filling your stomach. It should look nice also.
In most Western countries, people don't have time to cook almost. And here, the cooking you say traditionally is done by women at homes. How is that changing now?
It's changing quite fast. Women are working now. They don't have time to cook.
Let's say a couple with 2 children, they don't have time for dinner. They say, okay, that's a good alternative to fast food because it's healthy, in delivery terms, it's fast, it's convenient. So that, okay, why do I need to order every day hamburgers, pizza, or that kind of food?
The number of consumers which will be demanding this service will increase in time. That's what we see.
If you don't put your love, your emotions, your positive energy into your food, it's not gonna be a tasteful meal.
So what are your expansion plans?
In 2017, we are planning to expand out of Turkey because already we have a lot of interest from Middle East countries, from Eastern Europe, and also from North America.
I will look forward to it. I'm a huge fan of Turkish food. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really, really.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. As yet, home cooking hasn't completely disappeared. There's such a wealth of fresh ingredients produced locally that less than 5% of food is imported.
So good to see you again.
Great seeing you.
Rafika Birgul meets up with me again to give me a tour of one of the many markets.
The great thing about living and cooking in Istanbul is you eat the fish that is caught this morning. This is hamsi. It's like in the Black Sea region of Turkey. Yeah. It's like the bread of the people who live there. The gills show how fresh the fish is. Like a day later, it's going to be pinkish, not so red. So it's an outward show off of how fresh our fish are.
Wonderful. My favorite.
From the market, we head to Rafika's kitchen in Kuzguncuk, an old neighborhood where Jews, Greeks, Armenians and Turks lived together for centuries.
Built in 1923, and the other date is a Jewish calendar and other is a Muslim one.
Oh, fantastic. In a Turkish kitchen, what would any home cook have?
One is, of course, butter, some from the Aegean side, olive oil, right. And then pepper paste and tomato paste is something we all have in our kitchens.
Let's go for it. Put me to work.
And we're cooking up Hünkar Bayandi, the dish I tasted in the Süleymaniye Mosque with Yavuz İzgül. Rafika has created a modern take on it, which replaces stewed lamb with air-dried beef. It's a healthier version that's also quicker to make.
It's an old Ottoman dish from 1863. This is called kurtulmuş et, dried meat. Slowly. We make the dough eat the milk, yeah. When Napoleon III came to Abdulaziz, the Sultan, with his wife, Eugene, they also brought their chef. The French guy was doing the bechamel, the Ottoman chef was doing the aubergine. So they said, why not, let's mix these up and have a beef on top. And they tried it and Abdulaziz loved it so much. Just do this.
The recipe is contemporary, but Rafika also reveals a time-honored secret of Turkish cooking.
If you're making a sweet dish, put a bit of salt. If you're making a savory dish, put a bit of sugar. What it does, it brings up the flavor.
I like it. Let's eat. In Turkey, who does most of the cooking?
At home, always women cooked. Now it's changing that men are interested in cooking as well.
Food seems to be such an important part of Turkish culture itself. What does it mean to you?
It's my everything, you know. I cannot tell my emotions really well, but through food, for example, through the food I cook, I feel it easier for myself to tell emotions. So for me, cooking is a channel for my ideas, for my world vision to get embodied. What do you think about Turkish food? Where do you put it in the world?
In a way, I feel it really is the original fusion food. I would tell everyone, come to Turkey, come to Istanbul, and come find you.
Thank you.
Turkish cuisine, rich with centuries of history, is experiencing something of a renaissance. A new generation of chefs and food lovers is keeping traditions going while embracing modern influences.
My journey through Istanbul is nearing its end, but in so many ways, I feel as though I just scratched the surface of this grand cuisine that is Turkish food. Everything I've tasted and seen and smelled has been a story, and not just of Istanbul, but also its people, its past and its present. And they all come together to form one delicious city. Until next time, or as they say in Turkish, görüşürüz.